lions and cats. For the tables of England, Alaska, Newfoundland, and the West Indies is rolling out from the Western Canadian cattle country.
Grrr. YouTube is being a giant pain in my butt today. Finally got the stream to work again, but I didn't make it go live. Just, who knows why it crapped out. I didn't get any content warnings. It's possible I was sending a little too much bandwidth, but it's just, I was sending that bandwidth yesterday, and there's no problem. So, who knows, man? But I apologize. Thanks, people, for jumping to Twitch. And thanks for notifying me that I had not make it go live. All these little nitpicky things. Oh, it's so annoying. Anyways, it's all about showing educational films, and that's what I love doing, and that's what I'm going to keep doing, even if it's like little things where YouTube has to draw a little bit of DNA from my finger to verify that it's me. I don't know. I'll go for it. It's worth all the little needle pricks, because showing 16mm films to you guys, it's what I do. It's the reason of being. Let's learn about driving at night.
Driving at night requires a driver to modify normal daytime driving maneuvers and habits as a result of reduced visibility in darkness. Visual conditions at night are always poor. Even a full moon doesn't provide sufficient light. We depend on our headlights as the main source of light during most of our driving. But it's a mistake to think that the amount of light they give, even on high beam, is enough to provide good visual efficiency. They direct beams of light only straight ahead and offer little help in lighting off-road areas. Headlights on low beam are effective for about 150 feet, and high beams are only effective for 350 to 500 feet. There's really only one answer on any road, whether it's familiar or not, and that's to not overdrive the headlights or road conditions. This means maintaining a speed that permits stopping within the distance illuminated by the headlights. Even on high beam, the headlights do not always illuminate the road ahead. Their effectiveness is greatly reduced on hills and on curves. During daylight hours, the world is full of color, and the color contrast makes objects stand out so that they're easy to recognize at a glance. At nighttime, except for colored signs and lights, we drive in a black and white world, and images become blurred and lost in the edge of darkness. The loss in visibility and contrast at nighttime reduces our depth perception, and this greatly affects our judgment of distances and speeds. For example, in this demonstration, which of the two cars parked ahead of us is the furthest away? Let's drive up and see. During the daytime, you would be able to better judge the distance of these cars, regardless of the size and spacing of their taillights. Now, which of the two cars approaching us is traveling at the higher speed? One car is going 15 miles an hour faster than the other. a big difference when we're basing a decision to pass or make a left turn on the speed and distance of oncoming traffic. We should modify our driving to allow a greater margin of safety for every driving maneuver at nighttime than would be acceptable during daylight. When following another vehicle, we should allow a greater space cushion between our vehicle and the other. And watch the taillights to detect changes in distance or actions of the other driver. Our own headlights are the main source of visibility on rural roadways. And when we are not following or approaching another vehicle, they should be kept on high beam. This extra sight distance is important when traveling at highway speeds. In all urban areas, low beam headlights should be used at all times. When starting from a well-lighted area, a common error is forgetting to turn the headlights on. This means you're operating without headlights or taillights. Whenever we start out at night, we should make it a habit to flick the beams up and down to be certain the headlights are operating. In all driving, the headlights should be used from the time the day starts to turn to dusk until sunrise. Even when the lights may not help the driver in lighting the road, they make a vehicle more visible to others at a greater distance. Headlights should also be used during extremely dark days or inclement weather. At no time of dusk, dawn, or darkness should you drive with just your parking lights, as this driver is doing. They are designed for parked cars. They are not driving lights, and they are totally inadequate while driving in giving a good visible warning to other drivers at any hour of the day or night. Dirty headlights that have built up a layer of light-robbing dirt and road oil can seriously reduce your visibility. The way to get the most illumination and visibility from your headlights is to keep them clean. Many drivers have doubts as to when to dim their lights for an approaching vehicle. The time to dim them is as soon as you see the headlights of the other vehicle. When following another vehicle, the headlights should be dimmed as soon as his taillights are visible. At no time should your headlights be on high beam when you are following a vehicle at a distance of 500 feet or less. Other times when headlights should be kept on low beam is during heavy traffic. During conditions of rain or fog, your low beams will better light the right edge of the roadway to guide you. Fog and heavy rainfall can diffuse your high beam headlight rays and reflect them back into your eyes. Headlights should also be dimmed when an animal or pedestrian is sighted on a rural road, and speed should be reduced to prepare for evasive action. The glare of bright lights can blind and confuse them and cause them to enter the path of your vehicle. Actually, blinding glare is one of the main hazards of nighttime driving that make it necessary for us to modify our normal daytime driving techniques, especially the blinding headlight glare from oncoming vehicles. We should drive in the lane that separates us most from approaching traffic. We should focus our attention on the right-hand edge of the roadway, beyond the oncoming vehicle, to avoid the bright glare of his headlights. It takes our eyes at least 7 seconds to readjust after passing a pair of brilliant headlights. We actually travel for a distance when we are effectively blind. If an oncoming driver doesn't dim his lights, don't retaliate. Keep your lights on low beam. Slow down and focus your attention to the right side, using the road edge or pavement edge stripe as your guide. Steer toward the right to avoid the natural tendency to drive toward oncoming lights when partially blinded by them. When weather conditions are bad, blinding glare is even more of a hazard. Visibility through the windshield is greatly reduced, and images become distorted and hard to recognize. And remember, the drivers ahead of you, behind you, and approaching you, maybe having difficulty in seeing too. A dirty windshield, both inside and outside, can also be treacherous. Not only is visibility reduced, but road oils, smoke, dirt, and car wash wax can cause intense glare and distortion of the clues we look for to help us drive safely. With limited visibility, you can't see clearly everything you need to see to drive safely, and the effectiveness of your headlights are greatly reduced. There are other ways in which we can help to avoid glare while driving at night. When being followed by a vehicle with bright lights, switch the daylight rearview mirror to the night position and avoid looking directly into the mirror. Avoid using the dome light, the map light, or flashlights within the car. Adjust the instrument panel lights to a lower intensity, leaving it just bright enough to read the critical instruments. Sunglasses or tinted glasses should never be worn from early dusk to sunrise. Our daytime driving habits have to be modified if we are to drive safely at nighttime. During the daylight hours, our eyes scan a wide area in front and toward the oncoming traffic. Every action far ahead can be quickly seen and recognized. At nighttime, the scanning pattern of our eyes is different. We focus closer to the car and to the right side of the road. We no longer have the wide, clear vision and contrast of color. We must concentrate on watching for dark objects and shadowy movements in and beside the road, especially the unexpected objects, which we see only half as well as familiar or expected objects. In urban areas, with the conflicting glare of signs and lights, it is even more difficult to see hazards or pedestrians in and along the roadway. Speed should be reduced and the road and the curbside watched for the unlit pedestrians and objects. There are road aids that have been designed to give us quickly recognized clues and guides for safer nighttime driving. It's important that we learn what these aids are meant to tell us. Aids to channel us into a safe driving pattern. Lane markers to guide us on multiple lane highways. And pavement edge markings to define the right edge of roadways. And many of the disadvantages of night driving we can make up for ourselves by modifying our driving techniques to conditions of limited visibility. Nighttime is a time to drive more slowly than we would under similar circumstances during daylight. It's a time to dim your lights for others and avoid the glare of their headlights by focusing on the right side of the roadway. At night, it's even more important to be certain that headlights and windshield are clean. It's a time to know and use the special road aids that are designed to guide you when you're limited to the visibility provided by your headlights. The time to modify your driving techniques, habits, and know the additional actions that are required when driving at night.
Countryman Clang! It does seem like a comic book villain. Countryman Clang. They did promotional films, and they did a lot of work for AAA, which that last film was Clang! Alright, let's learn about ecology. Circa the last time we were green in the 70s. This is Ecology Lady.
Problem: how to get rid of $31 billion worth of container materials and used packages every year. 300,000 tons of aluminum cans, a total of 65 billion cans, 36 billion glass containers. How to simplify and economize on solid waste collection and disposal. How to recycle these valuable resources. Solution: start a recycling center. Here on a gloomy, rainy Saturday morning, a recycling center is being established by a group of environmentally oriented volunteers on a shopping center parking lot at Tyson's Corner in Fairfax County, Virginia. It's sponsored by the Vienna, Virginia Environmental Council, the Ruston Environmental Movement, the Great Falls Civic Association, and the Drainsville Environmental Force. Question: will it work? Can a group of volunteers organize a recycling program, keep it going, and remain solvent? It's now 5 weeks later. The word's out. Citizens have begun to make a Saturday morning habit of their family visit to the Tyson's Corner Recycling Center. Recycling is big today. The environmentalists are all for it. Municipal officials fighting the solid waste battle are all for it. But somehow, it doesn't seem quite real. It's a dream, an ideal, which hasn't yet materialized. Perhaps the little local recycling center, operated by eager volunteers, will spark the program and get it off the ground on a large scale. This is our ecology lady, Mary Carricker, coordinator of the Vienna Environmental Council. A few weeks ago, Mary had never crushed a can or broken bottles with a sledgehammer. But in the last 5 weeks, she's learned a lot.
It's worthwhile. You go home at night and you feel like you've really put in a good day's work, and there's a satisfaction in that.
But there are cynics who disbelieve. Experienced dealers in secondary materials know how hard it is to get a market for recycled materials, how expensive transportation and processing are. Industrial practices are difficult to change. Citizen cooperation is uncertain when personal inconvenience is involved. Today's facts are disconcerting. 6% of aluminum cans are being recycled. Tin can recycling is insignificant. We're starting to recycle glass, but the program is still in its infancy, and it's predicted that the returnable bottle will be obsolete in 5 years. Only about 5% of our newsprint is being reclaimed. So you want to start a recycling center? Here are the hard facts from a gal who's operating one, Mary Carricker.
This is a scene we call recycling in Northern Virginia on a hot spring morning. We have a coalition of environmental groups here who have come out, and they're breaking glass, they're collecting newspapers, they're smashing aluminum cans, and all of this will be sent to various factories around the country for recycling. Our glass is shipped all the way to Baltimore, Maryland, where it will be melted down and made into new glass for bottles, building materials, glass fault road materials. Our newspapers we sell to a firm in Washington, D.C. They take it and make new newsprint out of it. They make cardboard, other building material. Aluminum is a valuable resource, and the aluminum will be melted down and remade into aluminum products. There's a lot of work involved here. We're normally short-handed in our projects. Many people talk about doing something about the environment, but not many of them show up on a weekend here. Now, what we're trying to do is involve more of the citizenry, not only in bringing us their items for recycling, but also when they bring us the items for recycling, to stay a minute with us here and help us work on this project. It's very eye-opening. The young people haven't turned out in the numbers we had hoped they would. The high school students seem interested in it, but after a few weeks, they just haven't shown up as they did to begin with. We have many problems in organizing all of this. It's a non-profit group here, and we find ourselves in the hole after about 5 weeks of operation. We hope by the end of the month that we will be in the hole, making a little money to pay for some of our equipment that we have and also to buy more barrels. Some of the other projects that we have going around in this area are right now standing still because all of our capital is in this operation. Now, recycling as such is rather new in this part of the country, and we need a little bit of help from the manufacturers and the trucking companies and people such as these. We have lots of problems involved in this recycling. Some of the main ones, which might not seem very large, are the fact that many of the bottles we receive have this metal ring on them, and it takes quite a bit of time to take that off. We have to separate our glass into brown and green, which is time-consuming and uses up many of our barrels. And we think this is a nice color. It's called Blah Green, and it's a mixture of the brown and green. And if we could ever get people used to using a bottle like this, we would save ourselves quite a bit of work in recycling this glass. We've run into problems with people wanting to bring us tin cans. This is a real pain in the neck for us. The can companies run full-page ads in the newspapers saying that they will take the cans. And it sounds good in print, but when you come out here, you find that we have to pay for the trucks to haul these cans. There are ICC regulations governing trucking salvage materials across state lines. For volunteer groups, some of these problems are just really hard to overcome. Now, we hope sometime to be able to take the tin cans. They don't pay enough right now for us to be able to afford to truck them out of here. And so people bring us cans, and we have to make them angry when we say, no, we just can't possibly take them now. We don't have the money or the manpower to ship them up there. We've had problems in getting help out here with some of our projects. We've contacted many local groups in this area, and they want to bring us their glass. They think this will help us, and in a way it will, but we need the manpower when they bring the glass out, and we need the help. We have many groups contacting us, asking how they can go on in their areas and recycle. They're going to run into a lot of the obstacles we have with the manufacturers, such as the ICC regulations involving interstate transport of salvageable materials. These are almost impossible to overcome sometimes. It costs quite a bit to get a license to haul materials, and luckily we're in with another group who's been able to solve some of this and trucks our glass for us. The manufacturers could help us more by pushing the returnable bottles instead of so much push on the non-returnables. It's all well and good to recycle bottles, but it seems pretty wasteful to use a very good bottle once and then break it up, melt it down, and make a new bottle out of it. It just doesn't seem right to us. We're doing very well with our newspapers. We've collected some 20 tons of newspapers in the last 5 weeks, and about 7 tons of glass, and I would say around 200 pounds of aluminum. So we're off to a real bang-up start, and the only thing that will slow us down will be if our volunteers just quit showing up. We get lots of letters and calls from people wondering whether it's advisable for them to start a recycling center in their area. We think it is. There are many areas that you can look to for help. There are groups in the large cities where they have ironed out some of the wrinkles in this recycling project, and they can help you find sales places for your glass and aluminum and newspapers. If not, you might try the yellow pages in the local phone directories. They're help. Look up junkyards, salvage yards, find out if there is a market in your area or within a truckable distance. Now, volunteers are a problem. I've mentioned that. Try to get several local clubs or groups to back you and make them sign up people to help you on this. There are many books and articles written on recycling now. Try and get your hands on a few of these. Now, I would say it may look a little bleak to start with, but it's a good feeling, and we think it's good for the country, and so I would merely say right on.
American industry faces a challenge, which was put to verse by an employee of one of our big can companies. A proposal for disposal is what we dearly crave. For package items, we've a glut from cradle to the grave. So give us now a package new that holds the product well. But after it has served that use, it blows itself to hell.
Hey, Jane, you look fresh. Would you like to go up to my car and get the jug of ice water and the paper cups off the front seat? It's a green and white station wagon up there. I don't know if the water is still icy or not, but I bet.
It's funny to read in the comments how you don't really like her. Perhaps that if it was a song, if she was singing or somebody was singing, maybe you'd be more into it. I don't know. It seems like you folks like a song to kind of teach you your lesson about whatever the film is about. And so it's time once again to shake hands and your booty with Danger.
I can check that gear in a minute, so don't touch anything, okay? Hey! Get down from there! Now! Hey! Turn it over! What if it bumped that control by accident? You'd be mincemeat by now. What have I told you? You don't work on equipment when the engine's running.
Well, I told him not to touch anything. All right, I guess I wasn't thinking.
You weren't thinking? You mean you'll work on engines and machinery and not think of your own personal safety? Here. Shake hands with Danger.
Shake hands with Danger. Meet a man you ought to know. I used to laugh at safety. Now they call me Three-Fingered Joe. I was young and feisty, never did things by the book. Just let me get my toolbox and I'll take myself a look. I climbed up on a dozier with my mechanic's pride. Said, you can keep it running, friend, while I poke around inside. Shake hands with Danger, meet a guy you ought to know. I used to laugh at safety, now they call me Three-Fingered Joe. Although I learned a lesson, I forgot it soon enough. The nicks and burns and scratches showed the young ones I was tough. Till another morning I was grinding on some steel. My other hand got careless and fed my skin into the wheel. Shake hands with Danger, step right up and say hello. Grinding wheels and metal are what made me Three-Fingered Joe. I've seen mechanics burning and I've seen them take a fall just to save themselves a minute. I've seen them lose it all. I've watched them courting trouble, seen them take a chance and lose. They get careless for a moment and spend a lifetime with the blues. Shake hands with some friends I used to know. Compared to them, I'm lucky to be just Three-Finger Joe.
Got to bust that out occasionally. That was Scott Phillips and Greg, whose name I can't remember. They have a local band called Knower. Used to be Goner. Anyways, my wife paid for them to make that for my birthday. And so this is a remix, new updated version, which kind of has a 70s Rocky Horror Picture Show vibe to it. That makes me very happy. But that's where this came from. So thanks everybody for tuning in today. Sorry for all the technical problems on YouTube. Facebook, you guys, you were okay this time. It seems like everybody kind of trades off when there's problems. I'll be back tomorrow, 1 o'clock. And then also I'll be doing a show with the local university library at 3 o'clock, which will all be films about air pollution / climate change. And there's some interesting footage in there. And we'll have an expert who will help us talk about that and talk about the history of air pollution in the United States. If you like what you saw, the easiest thing you can do is just come back tomorrow and watch. But you can also hit like or subscribe or a little bell or whatever it is the social media thing has given you to little icon that you click on to say, that was okay for me. You can also buy us coffee. That's another way you can support us. And you can go to avgeeks.com, and there's DVDs for sale there, and there's a lot of other stuff online that we've been digitizing over the last 10 years. Some stuff I haven't shown on here yet. So everybody have a good rest of your day, your Thursday. And please rewind and love each other. And we will see you again tomorrow. Everybody take care.
I can contact you in a minute, so don't fuss anything, right?